Contextual safeguarding is an approach to understanding and responding to young people's experiences of significant harm beyond their families. Contextual safeguarding expands the objectives of child protection systems in recognition that young people are vulnerable to abuse beyond their front doors. In this video, 3 young advisors from the Camden Safeguarding Children Partnership talk about growing up in Camden. They reflect on how they are influenced by risk presented in spaces outside of the family home and how this then impacts their relationships and interactions.
So I've lived in Camden all my life and it's changed a lot over the years. I'm originally from King's Cross, and then when I moved to Somerstown not too long ago, there was a lot of crime when I first moved in. So that was a bit worrying, and I think being a young person, a young female, where there was a lot of gang crime and knife crime, it was a little bit worrying to go out, but I think over the years that's definitely changed a lot, and COVID has had an effect as well where knife crimes kind of changed a little bit, and like the types of crime that you'd find are a bit more variant.
In a way, sort of growing up in Camden, like there's a lot of things, if you check the news, there's a lot of things happening. It's a bad thing to say, but it's normal. Like normally, secondary school, you have like fights after school that can lead into something more than just a fight after school. Like to us, it's been normalized. So when you hear about things like someone got killed, it's sad, isn't it? Because you might have went to school with a person, or you might have hung around a person a couple times, but to us, it's sort of like it's normal now. It's something that's been occurring in the world. You read about it all the time, or if it happens in the world, it's due to happen where you are right now, innit? I had to do community service, which was across the road, literally fixing bikes, etc. Then yeah, because the lady that worked there also worked at the youth club I went to, because she saw I was changing and I was becoming a better person and I had ambition, she asked me if I wanted to apply to work at Camden YOS, and at the time I was working, but my contract was terminating. So I thought, why not? And I applied, and literally I've been here for like 2 years now. Done a lot of meetings, YJB board meetings, youth meetings with kids and etc. It's fun, literally. Right now we're doing virtual meetings due to lockdown, but I can't wait to sort of get back to work and do what we're doing.
So I think during secondary school times, I definitely saw a lot of my own peers and a lot of people in my class be negatively affected by the people that were around them. And I think one of the biggest ones were peer pressure. Like you could definitely see it was quite prevalent in a lot of young people. And that definitely can lead to the actions and the decisions that you make, which are so imperative at such a young age because they do prove to have lasting effects. I'm grateful for the fact that I wasn't sheltered from the harsh realities of this world, because I think it's only prepared me better for it, which is really sad to kind of think and to say, because you have to be prepared for such things to happen.
Often the negative experiences of friends and family can also impact on how unsafe I feel. When I was younger, I would always cross the road to avoid having to walk past a big group of teenage boys. However, as I've got older, I do feel more comfortable in my neighbourhood, and I take pride in being able to negotiate around my estate and area. Social media definitely does exacerbate my worries of serious violence. You hear about stories all the time online of young people who've been caught up and injured just for being at the wrong place at the wrong time. Often I find out that my peers have experienced crime through social media, and because of how viral social media is, you hear about these things in real time as they are happening. Because the amount of time young people spend on social media is quite high, it can sometimes feel like all we see is crime everywhere.
As a young female, I feel more intimidated and unsafe walking alone during nightfall in case of harassment and the increased violence in some areas. From personal experience, my phone was stolen out of my hands right outside my home, which left me to be in states of shock and fear. Many of my friends also agree that children are unfairly stereotyped by adults in public, which can be demeaning and patronising, as there seems to be a preconception towards this age group. I personally feel safer when I am not alone in well-lit streets that have people around. Factors such as being in familiar areas where I know the nearest facilities to get help, such as police stations and corner shops, are also helpful in feeling safe. The places where I feel most comfortable are university, places of work, local parks and shopping centres. I think since COVID and lockdown, of course, shopping centres have all come to a close, and we found that a lot of young people, such as myself as well, we'd often go to areas where we may not have been so safe. And I think that, like shopping centres, for example, you have a lot of security around, you have a lot of people kind of shopping and going about their business, and so as a young person you just feel more safe because there are other people around and I think a lot of young people found themselves in places they wouldn't have gone to otherwise. Like I, for example, didn't use green spaces or parks as much before lockdown, but they were kind of my safe space now. They're the only place that I go to get away from reality, and that was definitely something that I saw a lot of young people doing, which was really helpful, which was really nice to see. But again, I think having places where young people felt safe being taken away from them, it's definitely taken a toll on everyone's mental health.
I found lockdown is challenging and sort of an experience because it's something new and environment-wise unique. Like circumstances change all the time. There's always new challenges here too, so it's unique. You never know what to expect tomorrow. After lockdown, whatever you want to do is what you want to do. You had a lot of time to think and sort of analyze your life and where you want to head. So if you decide to carry on doing stupidity and that, then it's your loss. But if you go and do something good, then good luck. That's why a lot of kids tend to go into crime, because they're not given the opportunity to make money or whatever. After school, there's nothing to do. Like youth clubs open at like 6:30, I think. So school finishes at 3. So you have 3 hours and 30 minutes to do whatever. More time, you're not trying to go home, so you'll end up in McDonald's. Normally we chilled around McDonald's or the chicken shop, and then that was a huge crowd. Like if people are bad and they got bad energy, then the bad energy is in your surroundings you get.
Be careful with the peer pressures that you might have around you, and it's okay to say no. I learned that the hard way. It took me a very long time to say no, so it's okay to say no, and it's okay to be your own person and to have your own views and to hold your own opinions.
The perpetrators, you never see them. That's the thing. In neighbourhoods like this, you don't see them, and that's the sad thing. Normally you'll think people that hit on you are people you don't know, but it's really the people closest to you.
I think during secondary school times, I had a police officer at my school, and I'd constantly speak to him like every single day. We'd always be talking, and if I ever had any problems, I knew to go to him straight away, and that was really nice, because I know that young people sometimes, there is a stigma attached to police, and our relationship with police can be really strained. We knew where to go to for support. We knew that had anything happened after school and we needed someone, we could go back to school, and I know that a lot of young people did that. My school, they had quite a good connection to the local shops. I don't know, now looking back at it, they did kind of practice contextual safeguarding, because they were able to inform them that obviously the students were regular users of those services, and just to make sure that they're safe, and I'm pretty sure a lot of other measures were put in place to make sure that the students using those services were safe.